It's wonderful to be with you again for our Community Footprints program. Great to have Carl Knightley with us this morning, who is the CEO of Faith in Later Life. We've been walking a great journey with Faith in Later Life now for a few months, and it's just been so exciting to see how the ministry is blossoming. There's some exciting stats around the national phone line, Daily Hope, that they launched with the Church of England. We'll come on to that a bit later, but we've also got Adam May, who is our Director of Comms and PR, on this morning. Adam and I are going to ask Carl questions, and we'll just chat back and forth for about 15 minutes as normal. But thank you for joining in. If you're watching this on YouTube, and once you get updates of further programs, please just click the subscribe button below, and you'll get an automatic notification of that. So Adam, over to you to ask Carl the first question.
Indeed, thank you very much indeed, Carl, and good morning to those of you that are joining us this morning for Community Footprints. Now, I'm really blessed to work with both of these two gentlemen, both Carl Brettle and Carl Knightley. But for those who are watching this for the first time and haven't come across Faith in Later Life, Carl Knightley, what is Faith in Later Life and how did it start?
Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Carl. Good morning, everybody. So Faith in Later Life is a new-ish charity that was set up in 2017. And it was the brainchild, if you like, of 5 different Christian charities, including Pilgrim's Friend Society and the Salvation Army. So across the church, 5 charities who all have a real heart for older people, but really felt there was a sense of not being enough resources and focus, if you like, on older people in the community in church, as opposed to just in care homes. So Faith in Later Life was set up, and we exist to encourage and equip Christians through the local church to reach, serve and empower older people everywhere.
Fantastic. And so just share a little bit more for us there then, Carl, about kind of what has been some of the kind of success stories of Faith in Later Life. I know everybody likes a good story about how a ministry has impacted. So do share with us a kind of good news story, a success story.
What's really exciting about the work that we've been doing with Faith in Later Life is it's obviously plugging a gap where there is a need in churches to support churches more in this area of ministry. And so we set up a network of church champions. So anybody can be a church champion, and if you're watching today, you could join our church champion community. And we have church champions across the UK, around 160, and actually abroad as well. And so when somebody becomes a church champion, they can walk closely with us. And an example of a success story, if you like, is somebody was plugging away in their church, really with a heart for older people, and they joined our church champion community, and we sent them some resources and gave them some encouragement. And they set up a group for seniors at their church. And so as a result, I think there are about 20 older people who are able to start attending a group during the week and feel encouraged, be affirmed in their faith that they're precious to the Lord. And just because they might be older, that doesn't mean that they're of any less value. Of course, we know that older Christians are inherently valuable and really bring a rich wisdom to the church. So it's really great to see older people being more focused on and encouraged and empowered because of our church champion network.
That's really exciting, Carl. I'm going to hand over to the other Carl, because obviously it's good to share a little bit about the work of Daily Hope. But as I say, we've been a partner for a little while. So Carl Brettle, take us back to February this year.
Well, even before that, we had our NPN 7th birthday in Lambeth Palace last year, in September, and it was great that Carl Knightley was able to come along and share about the work of Faith in Later Life. You know, what he was just saying there, I can echo so many times in conversation that there's a lot of older folk that sometimes feel like they've been put on the scrap heap because they're not young, hip and trendy. They're not doing the latest innovative thing. But actually, if you consider an older person, and I guess just turning 50, I'm thinking hang on, Older's just ahead of me. It's really important because how many people do we know in our local church that have been managers, CEOs of companies? They've had life experiences that we would never have yet experienced. And I know in my local church, sometimes the conversation has been, "Oh, I used to do that, and I used to do this," and I'm standing there with the individual thinking, actually, you don't realize how valuable you are, and I'd love you to come and volunteer with us, because that life worth and that life experience and that attitude of not necessarily jumping to or against something, but having a considered approach because life has shaped you that way is invaluable. Now, when we were at Lambeth, this was before the opportunity of Daily Hope, and then Faith in Later Life reciprocated by inviting Rebecca and myself and Adam, of course, to a parliamentary reception in Westminster. And even at that stages, there was only an early conversation around um, possibly setting up a national phone encouragement line. And I know that was set up about 8 weeks ago. And I just did a brief calculation which said that for every hour that phone line's been running, there's been 1,413 minutes of engagement on that phone line every hour, 24 hours a day for the last 8 weeks. That's mind blowing, Carl, you were saying before we came on the call, 165,000 people have rung in. So why don't you tell us a bit about how it came about and what Daily Hope plans to achieve, and then really where is it going to go from here, because it's already absolutely overshadowing some other national helplines that are not getting anywhere near these numbers and this engagement.
So thanks, Carl. Yeah, it's a delight to be able to partner with NPN, and it was great to be part of your anniversary at Lambeth Palace, and it's great to be here today. Daily Hope is fabulous. We sat in a room with some folks from Lambeth Palace and a team from Holy Trinity Claygate in Surrey, and set up this Daily Hope phone line. And so Faith and Later Life is partnering with the Church of England to deliver this phone line. Now, it's an ecumenical phone line. It's not just for people in the Church of England. Indeed, it's not just for people in church. We have a sense of really wanting to reach out to older people, particularly in this difficult time of coronavirus, where there were older people who weren't going to church or who couldn't engage online. Lots of churches have been doing church services online, and that's really good. But there are 4 million people, certainly before coronavirus, there are 4 million people in the UK who've never used the internet, of which 2.5 million were over 75. So we set up this free phone line, and some folk from Holy Trinity Claygate provided some material called Hymns We Love. So one of the options when you phone up, you get a welcome from the Archbishop of Canterbury, and then you can listen to a short series of reflections based on wonderful old hymns, like Amazing Grace, for example, and then you hear a short reflection about what those another option is you can phone up and just listen to hymns on loop. No talk, no nothing. It might be that you're not necessarily a believer, but music. And then there are other options. You can listen to church service, some prayers. Really what we want to be doing is bringing the hope of the Lord Jesus into every house in the UK where people are interested. And as Carl said, it's really taken off. We're approaching 2 million minutes of calls, 165,000 calls. It's wonderful to be able to say to the nation, you can pick up the phone, whether it's a mobile or a landline in the UK, and it's free. There's no cost. It's 24 hours a day, and you can just know the love of God over the phone, because it's so important we don't forget those folks who can't engage online, and even when churches start to unlock, who might be reluctant to return to church. But just to finish off, in terms of Carl's question, we don't intend for the Daily Hope phone line to stop. We don't have any particular plan for it to be wound down. Of course, we want to continue praying that it will continue to be a success, but that means having a need, and that need is still there.
That's great. And I mean, if you compare it to church, over the last 8 weeks, it's been drawing in just shy of 3,000 people every single day. That's some church size, isn't it? That would make it one of the largest churches in the UK. I know it's not a physical church building, but while we've been in lockdown, it's been a lifeline to so many people, and that's fantastic. We'll flag up when I edit the video the number, but could you tell everyone what the number is for Daily Hope, please, Carl?
Sure, it's 0800 804 8044, and it's free and it's 24 hours a day, free from the UK.
That's brilliant. So for the last question, hand it over back to Adam, and then I'll round off at the end.
I've got one more question coming up, but I just thought it'd be really good, Carl, just to be able to share, because again, one of the things about the Daily Hope phone line, and again, working with you on this, I know the answer to the question, but just for those that don't, continuously updating content, is it something that's stable? What's the kind of deal? If I ring Daily Hope once, is that it? I don't need to ring again, or you know, what happens?
Yeah, we want to make sure that we're refreshing content, you know, and that's why many people are phoning and phoning again. So the Hymns We Love series, there are hundreds and hundreds of hymns, and so we had a series of 7, and then more are being written, so you can hear reflections on different hymns, and the rolling hymns on loop. Those hymns are continually updated too, as are the prayers, and there's also some high-level advice around COVID-19. So we're trying to keep things updated and fresh, not just for the sake of it, but because we want to continue to minister to those people who phone up.
Fantastic, thank you, Carl. It's just, I thought it would be useful just to share that, because I know some of the members of the MPN family have obviously shared the telephone number, because MPN has been actively promoting the number across the platforms since launch. But just for those of you that are thinking, I've rang it a couple of times, I don't need to ring it again, because I've heard the material, as Carl's just been saying, they're constantly updated and definitely well worth a ring. And I will just, again, nothing like a bit of a plug, but to give you the number again, 0800 084 0844. As we come into land, my final question was just to reflect a little bit, as Carl Brettle said a few minutes ago, we partnered last year around Neighbour Sunday. That was the joint initiative that we announced at Lambeth Palace, and we're looking to do it again on the 18th of October this year. But as we start to think about Neighbour Sunday, we're this year thinking kind of how we pray into the urban estates and urban ministry, and also into the rural. So I just wondered, Carl, just as we come into land, if you'd be able to just share something about what are some of the challenges that older people face as we gear up to start thinking and intentionally praying around older people for this year's Neighbour Sunday. What are some of the issues as we come out of lockdown and move to the future?
Well, we know that many older people suffer from loneliness or isolation, and that was even before coronavirus. Almost 5 million older people would say that their closest form of contact was their pet or their TV. And to put that into context, there are 11.9 million older people in the UK. So that's almost a fifth of the population are so-called older people. And as I said, 5 million say that their pet or TV are their closest form of contact. So it's important that we re-knit as a society, if you like, you know, and I think this crisis has helped with that, because it's thrust the area of older people back into the limelight. But it's also very important to remember that we don't just want to help older people, although we do. We want to recognise the value, the intrinsic value of older people. You know, church is intergenerational by design, and society needs to be too. We know that older people, particularly older Christians, bring that God-given wisdom. And in practical terms, you know, where would we be without granny or granddad and their childcare? We know that older people, in terms of caring for grandchildren, are worth £6.6 billion to the economy. I could go on, but the important thing is, as Christians, we know that God commissioned Abraham, Moses, Aaron in their 80s. Daniel was in the lion's den as 18, you know, an 80-odd-year-old, not as a young strapping lad, as some of the pictures will show you. We need our older saints to give us an example, to encourage us, but we also have a duty to love and to look out for them.
That's brilliant, Carl. Thank you so much for sharing. If someone wants to sign up to get your newsletter, where would they go?
So they can just go to faithandlaterlife.org. That's all one word, Faith and Later Life, all one word. or just Google Faith and Later Life. And right on the front page, right at the bottom, there'll be a way to sign up, or you can go to the Get Connected tab. But just go to the website and you'll find out more. And actually, if you want to have the email in post and not by email, then that's possible too. But do head to the website first, or perhaps contact you, Carl, if anyone's got any other questions.
Yeah, sure. And obviously this is posted on Facebook, so if you do have a question, put it in the comment stream underneath the video. We'll come back to them with an answer. I'd really encourage anyone that's part of our network, if you have time on your hands, you're an active member of your local church, and obviously there's a debate right now about when church will go back to its normal meetings and so forth. Sign up as a Faith and Later Life Church champion, because there's bound to be other older folk in your church, and you may be the catalyst to breathing a new breath of life into their outlook and daily and weekly routine. So thanks, Carl, for joining us. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We'll be back again with another Community Footprints. But don't forget to press the subscribe button if you're watching via YouTube to get an automatic notification of the next program. Take care.